Good morning. I have not done this in a really long time, and I'm not going to make this a super long session, but I did want to do a quick kind of draw, paint, create with me session here out on the porch before it gets too hot. So I'm going to flip you around and show you the setup. This is the current setup I'm going to work with. You can see how bright the sun is getting already. It's only like 8:30 in the morning. Beautiful view, as you can see. The sun is shining super brightly. Nice to have the fresh air. Love being outside. And it's too hot to, you can see my shadow there as I'm videoing. Got the company of the dogs. And this is where we're going to create. So I will show you what I've dragged out. My favorite way to create is with coffee. This is water. This is a skull mug from the Pirates show in not in Dollywood, but in Knoxville, Tennessee, where my family just had a little family vacation. I have pulled out a sketchbook. This is a fresh sketchbook by Illo, I-L-L-O. So plenty of bright white paper. My Caran d'Ache gouache paints, which are fun to use. I really love them. Some watercolor markers, an alcohol marker, a waterproof pen, Pigmographic. These are the Stabilo Woody pencils. They are water soluble, almost like pastels, some oil pastels, and a couple of brushes. So I'll put you up above on my nice little clamp. This is the clamp I use for holding my phone over my paper. And here we go. So the way I work is completely intuitively, and I'm going to try and not jiggle the phone too much, but it may jiggle anyway. That is just the current setup, as it is kind of unavoidable. And because the sun is so bright, there are probably going to be some shadows. But again, this is just kind of to walk you through the process of intuitively creating. This is an Ecoline brush pen marker. I am going to use this whole spread here. And I am just making some marks. This is not meant to create anything in particular. It's just meant to get me into the flow. When we are in the creative flow and we get out of our mind and let go of attachment, let go of, where are my brushes? Oh, there are my brushes. Let go of, attachment to outcome, where we're not trying to create something pretty or trying to create something that looks a certain way, but we're really just allowing ourselves. This is an alcohol marker, so it's not going to mix with the water. But we just sit down and allow ourselves to make marks and to use the colors that we really enjoy, to use the movements that we really enjoy. So you can tell already by my marks, I really just love the flow of scribbling and making fields of color and not having to worry about, the outcome. So I've got watercolor marker, I've got alcohol marker. And one of the reasons I think that I really love mixed media is because for me personally, it gets me out of my mind. I know that I'm not just stuck with one medium, and I don't have to work with the limitations of that medium. If I work with something that's more transparent and then I feel like I want to cover something up, because a lot of media takes planning. So watercolor, because it is a transparent, mostly transparent medium. Now I'm just dipping a brush in water and I am intuitively playing with some of the watercolor brush pens and letting them kind of mix. And again, there's no agenda. But with watercolor, you really need to plan. So anything that's going to be light, you need to put down first, and then you need to work around it. You need to keep that area light. If you go over it, there is a point of no return with watercolor where things just get darker and muddier, and you can't really save it if you're just using watercolor. And so for that reason, especially when I'm working intuitively, I don't work in, just watercolor. And as I mentioned, I really do mixed media. I really love mixed media. So I've got some water-based stuff down now. I'm feeling drawn to dip into my gouache paints. So I purchased this, one, because I love the brand Caran d'Ache. I have some of their Neo Color 2 crayons, which are water-soluble crayons. So they're like a pastel that you can either use for the texture, or you can put water on top of and really mush around the color. And I really love the playfulness of that. For me, I love the playfulness of different textures and media that kind of change, media that can be used in a multitude of ways. Watercolor is one, honestly, because, well, I mentioned there kind of is a point of no return. You can use watercolor either transparently or more opaquely if you use less water and really get a whole bunch of pigment on your brush. And then, gouache is similar. So gouache tends towards the more opaque, but you can also use it more transparently if you use a whole bunch of water. So this is gouache now. And I already have some water down from the water that I was smearing over the watercolor marker. And I'm really just playing around. This is a Princeton Neptune watercolor brush. And it's got that really nice kind of, I think it's called a cat's tongue tip, which is super fun to use because I can, dab the whole thing down and create a certain kind of mark. I could just use the tip and I could create other little marks. I really love, again, the flexibility of a material and the flexibility of an application. I could just dab it and make kind of these little crescent marks. You really get to play. So it's one of my favorite brushes, and then you can see I can really just kind of smoosh things around this way as well. I can really just create a variety of effects. I can also add some more water and then tap to make some speckles. And all of this is not to create a specific result. I'm not demoing a specific technique. What I am doing is just kind of being a model of intuitive creation. And I just dumped my Stabilo Woody pencils all over the floor, but that's okay. So I'm trusting that whichever colors I'm left with are the colors that are wanting to come forth and play on the page. And you can see again, so I'm not sitting here saying make the same kind of marks that I'm making. My suggestion is to create a variety of marks and really allow yourself to play with the textures, to play with how the media interact. If you're using different media, you can see as I'm smushing the pencil into, the watercolor, it leaves a different kind of mark than if I am using it on a purely dry section of paper. And notice which colors you are drawn to and allow yourself to play and create with the colors and the tools that really draw you. So you may not be into watercolor. You may not be into, mixing alcohol markers and gouache and, these kind of pastels. And these Stabilo Woody crayons are so awesome. They are, they have this kind of thick, silky application. And, you can use them in a sketchier way. You can really push down and lay in, thicker bits of color. And you may be drawn to maybe more of a monochrome palette, just using blues or just using greens. You may not be into all of these bright rainbow colors that I am obviously a fan of. So really allow yourself to play with what you enjoy. And now I'm dipping in, and I am going to add just a little bit more. This is going to be a really short session. This is more gouache, and I'm just feeling drawn to kind of dab it around. Again, I am not looking at this from a composition perspective. This is play and intuition, and there's no guarantee that this is going to look good at all when I'm done, but just really allowing yourself to play. And it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it doesn't look good at all. It's okay if you don't ever come back to the piece and add more to it again. The whole point is allowing yourself to get into that pure place of creativity, which comes from your willingness to be curious and to explore. And I said this was going to be a really short session. This is where we are at. And this is going to be my completed spread for right now. You know, this has just taken us a few minutes, and I actually really love it. And there was nothing planned about this. I just really let myself get into that place of exploration, and I think I'll use this color now. I think I'll use this material now. And that's it. And having come back inside now, because it's getting really hot out there in the sun, I would love to see what you create. In just, I think that took us about less than 10 minutes to sit down, just grab some materials. I honestly kind of go over to my bin of materials, which is in an old file cabinet now. I just have kind of bags and boxes of materials in drawers, and I will just open some drawers and grab a few of these and a few of these and maybe a couple of these, and then like you saw, I will just take it to a counter or put it in my backpack in another bag. I've got some old makeup bags I purchased from a thrift store, so I'll collect a few supplies, random supplies, throw them in that bag, throw them in my backpack, and then when I'm out during the day, sometimes I will give myself, which honestly I haven't done in a while, so I'm using this as an opportunity to reignite my own motivation. I just had some other projects going on and a bunch of day job stuff that I've had going on that I've allowed to distract myself, which again, that's a choice, right? The choice to allow distractions to happen versus choosing to take that time to say, all right, I'm taking 10 minutes a day to sit down and just purely play. I don't care what comes out of it. I don't care if I ever show anybody. I don't care if it looks good or not. I'm just going to allow myself to experiment and really feel into the choices I'm making on a moment-by-moment basis, such as what color do I really want to use right now? Which tool do I really want to use right now? And not judging it, but allowing yourself to do it and explore and play and have fun in the moment. So that's my little soapbox for the morning. Enjoy playing, enjoy getting into that pure space of creation without agenda, without a need to prove anything, even to yourself. Have fun.